and still murmuring for quite some time, and she flatlined on the way to hospital. That one of the other reasons that that conspiracy theorists think that she was murdered is the amount of time it took to get her to hospital. They say that there was a deliberate attempt to delay her medical care for as long as possible, and it did take a long time to get her to hospital. I don't know particularly how suspicious that is, having read all about it myself. As far as I understand, she just kept flatlining in the ambulance, so they had to keep stopping. But yeah, there are some questions. It is suspicious in some ways, and what I wanted to do with Million Eyes was, because the ideas for Million Eyes started coming to me around the time of Diana's inquest, and what I wanted to do was take all of those unanswered questions and create a story incorporating them, and say that time travelers were responsible for causing this crash, and it's because they needed to. Diana was. This isn't a massive spoiler, but in the book, Diana is in possession of some information that is damaging to the time travelers in the future. So they have to recover it, and they have to cause the crash, partly because that's what history says they have to do, because there's lots of predestination paradoxes and causal loops and all sorts that happen in this book. But essentially, the time travelers murder her because she's in possession of some information that's highly incriminating. So that's how it all goes down in the book. It's a little bit similar to. Did you ever see the TV show Dark Skies in the 90s?
I did. I just don't remember much of it. I think my friend Art Bell had a segment in that show.
Oh, right. Okay. It only ran for one season. It was cancelled. It was kind of. Yeah, it was cancelled because it was really good, but it was maybe a little bit before the time of serialized TV. I think back then the networks tended to prefer TV series that were very episodic, and the status quo was kind of resumed at the end of the episode, and then the next episode was a brand new story. Whereas Dark Sky had a continuing story where you needed to watch the previous episode to know what was going on in the next one. And I think that wasn't. Nowadays audiences embrace that, but that was very much partway through the noughties that kind of changed. I think it was 24 which really made that popular, and then shows like Lost and Prison Break kind of followed in 24's wake. But Dark Skies was really good. It was the first appearance of I don't know if it's her very first appearance, but it's what shot her to fame. Jeri Ryan, who ended up playing Seven of Nine in Star Trek Voyager, she appeared in the latter part of that series.
She appeared in a lot of movies before that, I will tell you that.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Adult. She was adult, from what I read, adult movie star.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, the Dark Skies was in a way one of my inspirations for Million Eyes, because what Dark Skies did was it took real events from sort of the last 60 years of American history, and these were events that had questions around them, had conspiracy theories surrounding them, things like JFK's assassination and a number of other events that were a bit mysterious. And Dark Skies attempted to sort of re-explain them or explain what really happened, and made out that all these events happened because of aliens. Aliens have been on the Earth since the 40s, since Roswell, and the government has been covering up their existence. And I can't remember exactly how it all went down, but I think that's why JFK was assassinated, because he was brought some information about these aliens or something. So it's a similar concept to what I'm trying to do, what I've done with Million Eyes, but with Million Eyes, instead of aliens, it's time travel, and instead of the government, it's a big global tech company, and instead of the last 60 years of American history, it's the last 900 years of British history. So we've got Diana in the book, but there are a number of other mysterious events from British history that I also incorporate. They're possibly not ones that you will have heard of, but one of the events which I remember learning about at school was the mysterious shooting of King William II, who was the second Norman king. I don't know if you've heard of the Battle of Hastings, quite a famous battle in British history. William I won that battle, and then William II was his son. And William II was actually more famous for his death, because his death was quite murky. He was out on a hunt in the New Forest, and he was shot, and the shooter very, very quickly fled to France, and his brother, who was on the hunt as well, hightailed it to Winchester, seized the treasury, had himself crowned king immediately. And there are lots of the explanation of the events don't really tally up. The account says that the arrow that killed him was meant for a deer, glanced off a tree and then hit him, which doesn't make sense in just basic physics. And also the shooter, Walter Tyrrell, was supposedly a really sharp shooter, so the idea that he would miss and hit the king is really unlikely. So this was an event that I remember learning about at school and thinking, that's really interesting. I want to know what really happened there. He was obviously murdered. It wasn't an accident, as the official story says. And then there was another event a few hundred years after that, which was the disappearance of the princes in the tower. And these were two young boys that were placed in the Tower of London. One of them was meant to be king, and had a better claim to the throne than his uncle, who was supposed to be Lord Protector, just until he came of age. But after a little while, the uncle decided to sort of seize the throne for himself, had both boys declared illegitimate, and then soon after that they vanished, and they were never seen again. Their bodies have never been found. So it's a mystery that's endured to this day. And again, there's conspiracy theories that surround what happened to them. And I wanted to kind of link that to all of it as well. So we've got these three events. They're 900 years apart. So I wanted to tie them together because they were events that really interested me, and the only way to do that was with time travel. So that's essentially how I ended up with the plot of Million Eyes.
Now, a question. One of the... Oh, boy, we're getting feedback here. Let's see. Do you have something on, or is it a speaker or something that we're getting feedback, or did it stop?
I'm not getting any feedback my end.
Okay. Well, okay. One of our listeners said that the princess was murdered because she had evidence exposing, them as reptilian. I can't pronounce the word. The aliens.
Oh.
That conspiracy.
Reptilians, yeah.
Yeah, that word, yes. I don't want to stutter.
I've heard about that as well. That I did write an article about the shape-shifting lizards conspiracy theory. I mean that is one of the craziest of the conspiracy theories that I've written about. David Icke is mainly responsible for stirring those ones up, I believe, certainly in this country anyway. David Icke's an ex-footballer, and he's a hardened conspiracy theorist, and he believes in the New World Order, and he believes that there's a reptilian elite. So our royal family, the British royal family, are apparently shape-shifting lizard aliens. And so I suspect he probably thinks the powers that be in the US are also these lizard aliens. Anybody in power, I think, in big companies and in the top tiers of government are supposedly aliens. And I have heard that there is a theory that Diane had information about this, and that's why she was bumped off. But there's absolutely zero evidence for any of the reptilian elite conspiracy theories. I've not come across any.
Well, if the royal family was shapeshifters, wouldn't the Queen make herself look younger? Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Well, yeah, but the conspiracy theorists would say that would give her away. So that's why she's aging like the rest of us.
Okay.
But they might argue that the fact that she's still going strong, as her mother did, maybe that's a sign that she's a lizard alien, because she does seem to. She's not showing any signs that she's
slowing down.
Yeah, anytime soon. I mean, I think Prince Philip has stepped back from some of his duties, but the Queen is doing everything that she always did, as far as I'm aware.
Now, the Queen really doesn't have no authority anymore, because I'm trying to think of what king stepped down and gave, the rights of ruling, for his realm and further realms after him. But the Queen is basically, a symbol?
Yeah, pretty much. She doesn't have any. Technically she does have some power, but she doesn't act on any of those powers. The government use those powers kind of in her name. So yeah, and she wouldn't either. She has to approve every law. She has to sign off every law that's made in this country. And she does have the power to refuse to do that, but she wouldn't, because if she did, then the whole country would be up in arms about the fact that that's just not democratic.
Okay, now, Christopher.
And if that were to happen, she'd probably the monarchy would probably be ousted, because there's quite a large Republican movement in this country that doesn't think that they're necessary or should be there. So
yeah, we need to go on break. This time you got enough time to go get a cup of tea or whatever. Well, we got the news, so we'll be back in 7 minutes with Christopher Berry, and we're going to be talking about his book and time travel. And I'm sure James, when he gets done doing the news, has some questions about time travel and things to ask you. So we'll be back, everybody, in about 7.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio. I'm your host, Gary. Check our website out at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
and he drove his motorcycle that fast. He drove a big chop hog with a gang cousin's jacket and a ran.